Before the greatest victories of faith ever appear in a person's life, there's often a season that feels like complete defeat. The heart asks questions that the mind cannot answer. Dreams seem delayed. Doors close without explanation. Relationships change. Strength fades. Even prayers seem to echo back in silence. It is easy to believe that heaven has forgotten your name. Yet many fail to recognize that this very place is often where the deepest work of God begins. The world measures blessing by comfort, speed, and visible success. God measures blessing by transformation. He is not preparing you merely to receive something into your hands. He is preparing your hands to carry what He intends to give. A blessing received by an unprepared heart can become a burden. Great favor requires great character. Great authority demands deep humility. Before God entrusts you with more, He first enlarges your capacity to carry it. Many people pray for promotion while resisting the process that creates the person worthy of promotion. They ask for influence but reject correction. They desire abundance but avoid discipline. They seek victory but fear the battles that produce strength. Heaven does not ignore those prayers. Instead, God answers them by beginning a work within the believer. Often that work feels like breaking because everything that depends on self must give way to everything that depends on Him. There are parts of us that cannot enter the next season. Pride cannot go. Fear cannot remain. Self-reliance cannot survive. Hidden bitterness cannot travel into God's greater purpose. The old ways of thinking, speaking, and believing must be shattered so that a new foundation can be laid. This breaking is not punishment, it is preparation. It is not rejection, it is refinement. Consider the seed placed into the ground. From the outside, nothing appears to be happening. Darkness surrounds it. Pressure covers it. It no longer resembles what it once was. Yet the very shell that once protected the seed must split apart before life can emerge. If the shell never breaks, the harvest never begins. What appears to be destruction is actually the beginning of multiplication. The same principle is seen throughout every area of spiritual growth. God often removes what gives false security before revealing Himself as true security. He allows human strength to fail so divine strength can become visible. He permits certain doors to close because those doors were leading to destinations beneath His purpose for your life. At the moment those doors shut, disappointment fills the heart. Later, wisdom looks back and calls it mercy. Faith grows strongest where human confidence ends. As long as people believe they are sufficient in themselves, they rarely discover the unlimited sufficiency of God. But when resources disappear, when answers cannot be found, when every earthly support begins to crumble, something remarkable happens. The soul finally becomes quiet enough to hear the voice that has been speaking all along. The breaking process exposes what truly rules the heart. It reveals whether faith depends upon circumstances or upon the unchanging character of God. Anyone can believe when everything is comfortable. Real faith stands when comfort disappears. It declares that God's promises remain true even when visible evidence has not yet arrived. That kind of faith is precious because it rests not upon feelings, but upon eternal truth. Sometimes God breaks our timeline. We expected success by now. We imagine life unfolding according to our carefully arranged schedule. Yet heaven is never controlled by human calendars. Delays often become classrooms where patience, endurance, and wisdom are developed. The blessing delayed is not necessarily the blessing denied. Often it is simply the blessing being protected until both the promise and the person are ready to meet. People often misunderstand this season. Friends may assume failure. Family may question your decisions. Others may think your faith has weakened because your circumstances have become difficult. They see only the outward struggle. They cannot see the invisible work taking place within your spirit. God does His finest craftsmanship where human eyes cannot observe. Just as roots grow beneath the surface before branches reach toward the sky, spiritual strength develops in hidden places before public fruit appears. There comes a point where every believer must surrender not only actions but expectations. We surrender our demand to understand everything immediately. We surrender our insistence that God explain every circumstance. We surrender our right to control outcomes. In that surrender, peace begins to replace anxiety because trust has replaced the need for certainty. The greatest obstacle to divine blessing is often not external opposition, but internal resistance. God cannot fill hands that refuse to release what they already cling to. He cannot pour fresh life into hearts occupied by yesterday's disappointments. Sometimes He lovingly empties us because empty vessels are ready to receive new wine. Breaking teaches dependence unlike anything else. It teaches us to pray when no one else understands. It teaches us to stand when emotions fluctuate. It teaches us to believe when sight offers no encouragement. These lessons cannot be learned through comfort alone. They are forged in moments where every natural reason to continue has disappeared, yet faith chooses to remain. The remarkable truth is that God's breaking never destroys identity, it reveals it. He removes everything false until only what He created remains. The masks fall away. Pretenses disappear. Hidden motives come into the light. What emerges is a person who no longer needs the approval of people because confidence now rests in God's acceptance. When iron enters the fire, it is not being ruined. It is being strengthened for greater usefulness. The intense heat changes its structure, making it capable of bearing heavier burdens. Likewise, spiritual pressure develops endurance that ordinary circumstances could never produce. Those who have walked through deep valleys often carry uncommon compassion, remarkable wisdom, and unwavering confidence because they have witnessed God's faithfulness where few are willing to walk. Never mistake silence for absence. God often works most powerfully when He seems quiet. A builder spends more time laying a foundation than raising visible walls. Those watching from a distance may assume little is happening, yet everything that follows depends upon what cannot yet be seen. There are moments when everything familiar is stripped away. The career changes, the relationship ends, financial security disappears, health becomes uncertain, identity feels shaken. In those moments, God is not removing your future, He is removing every false foundation so your future rests upon something that cannot be shaken. The blessing God gives is more than material increase. His greatest blessing is His own life flowing freely through a yielded believer. Peace that remains during storms is a blessing. Wisdom that overcomes confusion is a blessing. Courage that silences fear is a blessing. Love that forgives impossible offenses is a blessing. Joy that survives sorrow is a blessing. These treasures cannot be purchased. They are formed through surrender. Do not despise the seasons when life seems to be unraveling. Sometimes what appears to be falling apart is actually falling into divine order. The pieces you are desperately trying to hold together may be the very things preventing God's greater purpose from unfolding. Trust often requires releasing what understanding cannot explain. There is a difference between being broken by life's cruelty and being shaped by God's loving hands. One produces despair, the other produces hope. One leaves people empty forever, The other empties them only to fill them with something infinitely greater. God's purpose has never been to leave His children shattered. His purpose is to remove everything that limits the fullness of His life within them. The strongest believers are rarely those who have avoided hardship. They are those who discovered that God's presence remained constant through every hardship. Their confidence is no longer based upon favorable circumstances, but upon an unchanging Father whose promises never fail. That confidence becomes an anchor that no storm can uproot. If you find yourself in a season where nothing makes sense, where every plan has been interrupted, where every familiar support has weakened, do not assume your story is ending. The breaking you feel today may be creating the capacity for tomorrow's blessing. Every tear surrendered to God waters seeds that will one day produce a harvest beyond imagination. What feels like loss may actually be release. What feels like delay may actually be protection. What feels like weakness may actually be the birthplace of divine strength. God is never careless with pain. Every moment surrendered into His hands becomes material for future glory. When the process is complete, you will not simply possess a blessing, you will have become the kind of person who can carry it with humility, wisdom, unwavering faith, and complete dependence upon the One who prepared you for it. God never delights in seeing His children suffer. Yet He understands something that human wisdom often overlooks. Before a great blessing can be placed into a person's hands, something greater must first happen within that person's heart. The greatest preparation for a new season is not found in outward success, but in inward transformation. That is why seasons of breaking are never wasted in the hands of God. They are not expressions of His anger, but demonstrations of His wisdom. He sees the future you cannot yet see, and because He sees what lies ahead, He begins preparing you long before the blessing arrives. Many people mistake hardship as evidence that God has turned away from them. They assume that because life has become difficult, heaven has closed its doors. Yet the opposite is often true. The very struggles that cause confusion today may be the clearest sign that God is doing a deeper work than you realize. He is shaping your character, renewing your thinking, and strengthening your spirit so that when the blessing comes, you will have the maturity to steward it well. Think of a master builder preparing the foundation of a great building. No one celebrates the digging, no one admires the trenches or the broken ground. Yet the deeper the foundation, the higher the structure can safely rise. If the foundation remains shallow, the building may look impressive for a season, but eventually the weight of success will expose its weakness. God refuses to build greatness upon unstable ground. Before He raises you higher, He strengthens what no one else can see. Sometimes God allows your confidence in yourself to be shaken because He wants your confidence to rest entirely in Him. Human strength has limits. Human wisdom can fail. Human plans can collapse overnight. But the one who learns to depend upon God discovers a source of strength that never runs dry. Every disappointment becomes an invitation to trust Him more deeply. Every closed door becomes an opportunity to believe that His direction is wiser than your own understanding. The breaking process often reveals hidden attitudes that success would have concealed. Pride, impatience, fear, resentment, and self-reliance cannot remain hidden forever. God lovingly exposes these things, not to condemn you, but to remove whatever would limit your future. He is like a skilled craftsman refining precious metal. The fire does not destroy the gold, it separates the impurities from it. When the process is complete, the gold shines with greater brilliance than before. There are moments when everything familiar seems to fall apart. Plans fail, opportunities disappear, and prayers appear unanswered. During these seasons, it is tempting to believe that God has forgotten His promises, yet He has not forgotten a single word He has spoken. While you are waiting for the blessing, He is preparing the person who will receive it. He is increasing your patience, deepening your faith, enlarging your vision, and teaching you to value His presence more than His gifts. When the blessing finally arrives, you will understand why the preparation was necessary. You will realize that the greatest miracle was not only the door God opened, but the person you became while waiting for it. The breaking was never meant to destroy you. It was designed to remove everything that could not support the weight of your calling. What felt like loss was actually preparation. What seemed like delay was divine wisdom. And what appeared to be the end was simply God shaping your heart to receive a blessing that would bring Him glory and leave you standing stronger, humbler, and more firmly established in faith than ever before. Faith is rarely developed in moments when everything is going according to plan. It grows strongest when life becomes uncertain, when familiar support disappears, and when every visible circumstance seems to contradict what God has promised. Anyone can believe when prayers are answered immediately and doors open without resistance, but genuine faith is revealed when nothing seems to change, yet the heart continues to trust. The trials you face are not meant to weaken your faith. They are the very tools God uses to strengthen it. There is a great difference between believing because you see results and believing because you know the character of God. The first depends on circumstances. The second depends on truth. Circumstances rise and fall like the tides, but God's nature never changes. His love remains constant. His promises remain sure. His power never diminishes. When life becomes difficult, God invites you to move beyond a faith that depends upon what is visible into a faith that rests completely upon His unchanging Word. Every trial presents a choice. You can focus on the size of the problem, or you can focus on the greatness of the One who walks with you through it. Fear magnifies obstacles until they seem impossible to overcome. Faith magnifies God until every obstacle becomes smaller in comparison to His power. The battle is often won or lost long before circumstances change, because victory begins in the heart that refuses to surrender its confidence in God. Many people assume that unanswered prayers mean God is silent, yet silence does not mean absence. A teacher is often silent during an examination, not because the students have been abandoned, but because it is time for them to apply what they have already learned. In the same way, there are seasons when God seems quiet, not because He has left you, but because He is allowing your faith to mature. What you have learned in moments of peace must now sustain you in moments of pressure. Faith becomes stronger every time it chooses trust over doubt. Each challenge is like a weight placed upon a muscle. Without resistance, muscles never grow stronger. In the same way, without spiritual resistance, faith remains weak and untested. The difficulties you face today may be producing a strength that comfort could never create. Every disappointment teaches perseverance. Every delay develops patience. Every hardship increases spiritual endurance. These qualities cannot be purchased. They are formed through experience. Consider the tree that stands through violent storms. It does not remain standing because the wind is gentle. It survives because its roots have grown deep beneath the surface. The storms actually force the roots to grow stronger as they search for stability. Likewise, every trial pushes the believer to send spiritual roots deeper into God's promises. What once seemed impossible to endure becomes the very experience that establishes unwavering confidence. There are times when everything around you seems to say that failure is certain. Finances may become uncertain. Relationships may be strained. Opportunities may disappear. Your emotions may tell you to give up. Yet faith speaks a different language. It declares that God's promises are greater than present circumstances. It refuses to allow temporary conditions to determine eternal truth. It understands that what is seen today is subject to change, but the Word of God remains forever. Faith also transforms the way you interpret adversity. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" it begins asking, "What is God teaching me through this?" That simple change in perspective opens the heart to growth instead of bitterness. Trials become classrooms instead of prisons. Difficulties become opportunities to witness God's faithfulness in ways that would otherwise remain unknown. One of the greatest victories of faith is learning to trust God before understanding His plan. Human reasoning always seeks explanations first and peace afterward. Faith receives peace first because it trusts the one who already knows the outcome. It believes that even when the path is hidden, the guide is perfect. It rests not because every question has been answered, but because God's character has already proven trustworthy. As faith matures, fear gradually loses its authority. The believer no longer lives as a prisoner of uncertainty because confidence has shifted from personal ability to divine ability. Success is no longer measured by the absence of problems, but by the presence of God's peace in the middle of them. The strongest believer is not the one who has never faced hardship, but the one who has discovered through repeated trials that God has never failed, never abandoned, and never broken a single promise. Every battle survived becomes another testimony that strengthens future faith, until trust in God becomes more natural than fear itself. And every new challenge is met with quiet confidence that the one who carried you before will faithfully carry you again. There are moments in life when everything that once seemed secure begins to shake. The plans you carefully built no longer work. Relationships change without warning. Opportunities disappear. Resources become limited. At first, it feels as though everything is falling apart. But from God's perspective, something entirely different is happening. He is removing every false foundation so that your life can stand upon what can never be shaken. Before He builds something lasting, He tears down everything that cannot support His purpose. Human nature naturally seeks security in things that can be seen and controlled. People place their confidence in careers, finances, reputation, education, relationships, or personal abilities. None of these things are wrong in themselves, but they become dangerous when they replace complete dependence upon God. Anything that takes His place as your source eventually becomes a weak foundation. God loves His children too much to allow them to build their future upon something that cannot last. A house may appear beautiful from the outside, but if its foundation is cracked, the entire structure is at risk. Small storms may not reveal the weakness, but eventually a greater storm will expose what has been hidden beneath the surface. In the same way, many lives appear strong during seasons of comfort. Success can hide pride. Prosperity can conceal self-reliance. Achievement can create the illusion that human strength is enough. Yet God sees beneath the surface. He knows whether your confidence rests in Him or in temporary things. Because of His love, God sometimes allows situations that expose these hidden weaknesses. He is not trying to embarrass you or make your life difficult. He is protecting your future. It is far better for a weak foundation to be revealed before greater responsibility arrives than after it. The blessing He desires to give you is too valuable to be placed upon unstable ground. One of the first false foundations God often removes is pride. Pride quietly convinces a person that success comes primarily through personal effort. It whispers that intelligence, talent, or experience alone can secure the future. Yet pride creates distance between the heart and complete dependence upon God. When circumstances remind us of our limitations, pride begins to lose its grip. We discover that every breath, every opportunity, and every victory ultimately comes from Him. Another foundation God removes is fear. Fear builds invisible walls around the heart. It persuades people to avoid risks, delay obedience, and expect failure instead of victory. A fearful heart cannot fully embrace God's promises because it constantly imagines the worst possible outcome. During seasons of testing, God gently teaches that His presence is greater than every uncertainty. As trust increases, fear loses its authority. God also removes unhealthy attachments. Sometimes we hold tightly to people, possessions, or ambitions that have quietly become more important than His direction. We may believe that happiness depends upon keeping everything exactly as it is. Yet God sees when those attachments limit our growth. In His wisdom, He sometimes loosens our grip on temporary things so we can hold more firmly to eternal truth. Perhaps one of the hardest foundations to surrender is self-reliance. From an early age, people are taught to depend upon their own strength, solve every problem independently, and control every outcome. While responsibility is valuable, complete independence from God leads to spiritual weakness. There comes a point where human ability reaches its limit. At that moment, we are invited to discover that God's strength begins where our own ends. What feels like weakness often becomes the doorway to experiencing His power in ways we never imagined. This process of removing false foundations is rarely comfortable. It often involves waiting longer than expected, facing disappointments, or watching carefully laid plans collapse. Yet every loss that comes through God's wisdom creates room for something greater. He never removes without intending to replace. He never empties a heart without preparing to fill it with something far more valuable. As these false foundations disappear, something remarkable begins to happen. Peace no longer depends upon circumstances. Joy is no longer controlled by success or failure. Confidence no longer rests in human approval or personal achievement. Instead, every part of life becomes anchored in God's unchanging character. When storms come, the believer remains steady because the foundation is no longer built upon temporary things, but upon eternal truth. When the rebuilding is complete, you begin to understand why the shaking was necessary. What once felt like loss was actually protection. What seemed like failure was the removal of hidden weakness. What appeared to be destruction was really construction taking place beneath the surface. God was not taking away your future. He was giving you a stronger one. By removing every false foundation, He prepared your life to carry blessings, responsibilities, and victories that could never have rested securely upon the old foundation. The life built upon complete dependence on God becomes unshakable because its strength no longer comes from human ability, but from the one whose faithfulness never changes. Many people believe that if God is leading them, every door will open quickly, every prayer will be answered immediately, and every step forward will be free from obstacles. But the journey of faith often unfolds very differently. There are seasons when nothing seems to move. Dreams appear delayed. Opportunities vanish. Doors that once looked promising suddenly close without explanation. In those moments, it is easy to conclude that something has gone wrong. Yet what appears to be delay is often divine preparation. And what looks like disappointment may actually be God's protection. God does not measure time the way people do. Human beings are concerned with speed, but God is concerned with readiness. We often ask, how soon can I receive the blessing? While God asks, how prepared are you to carry it? A blessing given too early can become a burden instead of a gift. Success without maturity can produce pride. Influence without wisdom can lead to failure. Prosperity without character can destroy the very person who prayed for it. Because God sees the end from the beginning, He knows the perfect moment for every promise to be fulfilled. Think of a farmer planting seed into the ground. The seed does not become a harvest overnight. There is a season when nothing appears to be happening. The field looks unchanged, yet beneath the surface, life is developing in silence. Roots are growing before the plant ever breaks through the soil. If the farmer became impatient and dug up the seed every few days to check its progress, the harvest would never come. In the same way, God's work is often invisible before it becomes visible. Just because you cannot see progress does not mean progress is not taking place. Waiting has a purpose that goes far beyond passing time. It shapes the heart. It teaches patience in a world that demands instant results. It develops endurance when circumstances invite discouragement. It produces humility by reminding us that life is not controlled by our schedules, but by God's wisdom. During the waiting season, He is doing two works at the same time. He is preparing the blessing, and He is preparing the person who will receive it. Many closed doors are actually acts of divine mercy. At first, rejection feels painful. A job opportunity disappears. A business venture fails. A relationship ends. A long-awaited plan falls apart. We naturally mourn what was lost because we cannot yet see what God prevented. There are paths that seem attractive today but would have brought unnecessary pain tomorrow. There are opportunities that appear profitable but would have distracted you from your true calling. God closes certain doors because He sees dangers hidden from human eyes. What feels like rejection is often His loving protection. Delays also expose what truly lives in the heart. When answers come quickly, faith is rarely tested. But when the waiting becomes long, hidden attitudes begin to surface. Impatience, frustration, fear, and doubt often rise to the surface. God does not allow these things to appear so He can condemn us. He allows them to surface so He can heal them. The waiting room becomes a place of transformation where trust replaces anxiety and peace replaces striving. There is another blessing hidden within delays. They teach us to value God's presence more than His gifts. Many people seek the blessing while neglecting the one who gives it. Yet during seasons of waiting, when every earthly support seems uncertain, believers often discover a deeper relationship with God than they have ever known before. Prayer becomes more sincere. Worship becomes more heartfelt. Dependence upon Him becomes more complete. By the time the blessing finally arrives, the greatest treasure is no longer merely what God has given, but the closeness developed with Him along the journey. Consider an archer drawing back a bow. To the arrow, being pulled backward may seem like moving away from the target. Yet the backward movement is not failure, it is preparation. The farther the bow is drawn with purpose, the farther the arrow can eventually fly. In the same way, there are seasons when life seems to move in reverse. Progress slows, dreams appear distant. But God is not taking you away from your destiny. He is positioning you for greater impact than you could have achieved on your own. Every delay carries an invitation to trust. Instead of asking, "Why is this taking so long?" faith begins to ask, "What is God accomplishing while I wait?" That question changes everything. Waiting is no longer wasted time, it becomes sacred time. Every day spent trusting God strengthens your character, deepens your faith, and prepares you for greater responsibility. The blessing that finally arrives after a season of waiting is often appreciated far more deeply because the journey has taught gratitude, wisdom, patience, and humility. One day you will look back and realize that the delays were not obstacles to God's plan, they were essential parts of it. The closed doors protected you from lesser paths. The unanswered prayers redirected your steps. The waiting season shaped your heart. What once felt like disappointment became preparation. What appeared to be silence became instruction. And what seemed like the longest detour of your life became the very road that led you into the fullness of God's purpose. You will discover that His timing was never late, never careless, and never wrong. It was perfectly designed to bring the greatest blessing at the moment you were fully prepared to receive it. God's greatest desire has never been simply to place blessings into your hands. His greater purpose is to transform your life until you reflect His nature in everything you do. Many people define blessing only by what they possess: more money, greater success, better opportunities, or favorable circumstances. While God certainly provides for His children, His richest blessings always begin within the heart. Before He changes your circumstances, He changes you. Before He enlarges your territory, He enlarges your character. The greatest miracle is not merely receiving something new, but becoming someone new. The breaking process is often misunderstood because it feels uncomfortable. It strips away confidence in human strength and exposes the areas where spiritual growth is still needed. Pride begins to disappear. Fear loses its authority. Self-reliance gives way to complete dependence upon God. At first, this process feels like loss because familiar supports are removed. Yet what God removes can never compare to what He intends to replace it with. He never empties a life without preparing to fill it with something greater. Imagine a sculptor standing before a large block of stone. To an observer, every strike of the hammer appears destructive. Pieces fall away with each blow. Dust fills the air. It seems as though the sculptor is ruining the stone. Yet the artist sees what no one else can see. Hidden within that block is a beautiful masterpiece waiting to be revealed. Every piece removed brings the sculpture closer to its intended form. In the same way, God sees the person He created you to become. Every season of breaking removes what does not belong, so that His purpose can shine more clearly through your life. One of the first blessings that emerges from brokenness is humility. Humility is not weakness or insecurity. It is the quiet confidence that recognizes every good thing ultimately comes from God. A humble heart no longer seeks recognition from people because it has found its identity in Him. It serves without demanding applause. It gives without expecting repayment. It remains teachable because it understands that spiritual growth never truly ends. Another blessing born from brokenness is wisdom. There are lessons that books cannot teach and experiences alone cannot explain. Wisdom is often forged through trials, disappointments, and seasons of waiting. The person who has walked through deep valleys gains understanding that cannot be learned through comfort alone. They begin to recognize God's faithfulness even in difficult moments. They become slower to judge others because they remember their own struggles. Compassion grows where pride once lived. Patience replaces frustration. Discernment becomes sharper because experience has taught them to see beyond appearances. Brokenness also produces a peace that the world cannot give. This peace is not based upon perfect circumstances. It remains steady even when life feels uncertain because it is rooted in God's unchanging presence. Storms may continue around the believer, but they no longer control the condition of the heart. The soul learns that true security is not found in possessions, achievements, or human approval. It is found in knowing that God remains faithful regardless of changing circumstances. Perhaps the greatest transformation is learning complete dependence upon God. Human strength eventually reaches its limit. Intelligence cannot solve every problem. Wealth cannot remove every fear. Relationships cannot satisfy every longing. Only God can become the unshakable foundation of the soul. When this truth becomes reality, life changes forever. Prayer is no longer a last resort, but the first response. Faith replaces anxiety. Gratitude overcomes complaining. Hope rises above despair because confidence rests in God's ability rather than human effort. The blessings that follow brokenness often extend far beyond the individual. A transformed life becomes a source of encouragement to others. Those who have experienced God's faithfulness during hardship speak with authenticity rather than theory. Their words carry weight because they have lived what they proclaim. Their compassion reaches wounded hearts because they remember their own healing. Their testimony gives hope to those walking through similar valleys, proving that no season of pain is ever wasted in God's hands. It is also through brokenness that believers become capable of carrying greater responsibility. Blessings without character often produce pride, but blessings received after refinement produce gratitude. Success no longer becomes an idol because the heart has learned that every opportunity is a gift from God. Influence becomes a tool for serving others instead of promoting oneself. Prosperity becomes an opportunity for generosity rather than selfishness. The blessing changes not only what a person has, but how that person lives. When the season of breaking finally comes to an end, you begin to recognize that God was accomplishing far more than you ever imagined. The delays, disappointments, and struggles were never meaningless. Every challenge was shaping your spirit. Every trial was strengthening your faith. Every closed door was directing your steps toward something better. The blessing you receive is no longer measured only by visible success, but by the invisible transformation that has taken place within you. You discover that God's richest gifts are not limited to possessions or achievements. They are found in a heart filled with peace that cannot be shaken, faith that refuses to surrender, wisdom that guides every decision, love that forgives freely, joy that survives every storm, and confidence rooted completely in His unchanging character. Looking back, you realize the breaking was never intended to destroy you. It was God's loving hand removing everything that would have limited your future. Through that process, He transformed you into someone capable of carrying His blessings with humility, integrity, compassion, and unwavering faith. The greatest blessing was never simply what He placed into your hands. It was the new person you became through His faithful work within your heart. The season you are walking through today is not the final chapter of your story. If life feels heavy, if dreams seem delayed, if prayers appear unanswered, do not mistake the breaking for abandonment. God is not working against you. He is working within you. Every tear, every disappointment, every closed door, and every moment of waiting is accomplishing something far greater than you can presently see. While you are looking for the blessing, heaven is shaping the person who will receive it. The breaking is not designed to leave you empty, but to make room for something greater. It removes pride so humility can grow. It removes fear so courage can rise. It removes self-reliance so faith can stand firmly upon God alone. What feels like loss today may become the greatest testimony of tomorrow, because every trial surrendered to Him becomes part of His perfect plan for your life. So do not give up in the middle of the process. Keep believing when you cannot see the outcome. Keep speaking words of faith when doubt whispers otherwise. Keep walking forward even when the path seems uncertain. The God who began this work in you is faithful to complete it. He never breaks a vessel without intending to fill it with something far more precious than what it held before. One day you will look back and understand that the greatest blessing was not merely the opportunity you received, the door that opened, or the success you achieved. The greatest blessing was the transformation that took place within your heart. You became stronger without becoming proud, wiser without becoming fearful, and more dependent upon God than ever before. Your faith became unshakable because it was no longer built upon circumstances, but upon His unchanging Word. Stand firm with confidence, knowing that every moment of refinement is preparing you for a future greater than you can imagine. The breaking will not last forever, but the character it produces will remain for a lifetime. When God's appointed time arrives, the blessing will come, not as an accident, but as the perfect fulfillment of His purpose. And when that day comes, you will know beyond all doubt that every trial, every delay, and every season of brokenness was worth it, because God was never trying to destroy you. He was preparing you to carry the fullness of His blessing and to reveal His glory through your life.